And now this becomes now a theological image because guess what? Jesus now, in the incarnation, joins this lineage. Um, and then the underlying Hebrew words for image is selem and demut. So image is image or likeness. And both mean either a shadow or an idol of God. So this is what I said. So I said, when Genesis 1 says that humans is the selem of God, it is saying that if you want to relate to God, you must relate to your fellow neighbor. So both man and woman are the shadow of God, so to speak. But
yeah, you know I'm not on board with this stuff either, Rob. Either this theistic evolution take on it. I get where you're coming from. I do.
Oh, the evolution technically is the least.
Well,
that's not even part of the discussion. I'm just saying. I'm just giving context of what I wrote here.
I'll tell you what. To satiate some of the more prolific bigots, would you say that Adam emerging onto the scene was an act of divine intervention? Like, is that like?
Yeah.
You say that? Okay. You know that.
I mean,
that's shut them up enough.
God front loaded it from the beginning.
Oh
Before
Lord!
The Big Bang, he front loaded everything.
I mean, that's the word yetzer there, right? From the dust of the ground means forming
all the
time.
Front load.
So. Yeah.
Come on, Robert, get it right.
God front loaded everything.
All right, let's shoot. Okay, guess what? The English corrects the Hebrew, right? According to Kant. So let's put front load there.
Yeah, there you go. That's King James version.
Right.
Hey, I just wanted to jump in real quick and say...
Well, King James, because both Kylo and King have the same letter, K.
Exactly.
So.
Let me just say that my father brilliantly explained Thomistic metaphysics from a biblical point of view, because within Thomism and the church, classical Christianity, the idea is that the soul / spirit, the material aspect of man, the essence is the form of the body, meaning it is the form of the matter. It tells the matter how to be configured and organized. So therefore, your form is your spirit, your nefesh, period. And with the animals that are called nefesh, it is a difference in quality, not in kind.
Yeah, every time I do this.
Quality. What do you mean by quality, Kenny? What do you mean by
that? Meaning that, animals have a soulish expression in their personalities. Because the soul spirit is an immaterial thing, it's simple. It doesn't have parts except for essence and existence, which is a metaphysical composition that only a creator can give an essence. We enter into that in an analogical way when we create, for example, stories like The Matrix or Star Wars or whatever. We are entering into creation as creative agents in an analogical sense, but only God can give that true matter form composition which animates. So the form animates, and this is the Latin. These terms are all related. Animal. Yes, man is a rational animal because animal means an animated material body or an animated body.
I think exactly that's the key word there is rational.
Yes.
But it's rational in the sense, and here's the point, Smokey. Animals are rational as well. I mean, look at the South African wildlife, like when a lion hunts and so on. But what makes us just a little bit more quote unquote rational than them is this thing known as sentience. There's just something about ultimately the way our brains are wired, and then there's that added soul / spirit component, which other nefesh creatures don't have. That's why we had the knife edge advantage over them.
I think what Rob is explaining would be the spirit and then the properties that arise from the spirit. making us spiritual creatures. That's what Rob is saying in
Sure.
a
Which
biblical
which
sense.
then our brain is fine tuned to accommodate
Well,
the
our
actual you
essences
that.
fine tune our brains, and not the other way around. So it's not an emergent property because Rob's not a physicalist. So it
Oh,
is
right,
the
right,
essence
right.
that
Yeah,
is
yeah,
the
yeah.
vertical causation that comes
Yeah.
down to this level of the material world.
Yes. Yeah. And so then to translate that then to the incarnation, you see, this is why I was trying to say that there is some logical, what I find to be logical or reasonable. There's a reasonable side to a neo-Apollinarian perspective on how the Logos, through the kenosis concept, completes, or is able to fill and take over the body, so to speak, Jesus's body, because there is no quote unquote human spirit or soul that's like, like, who are you? Like, where did you come from? Like there's a warring of two spirit things going on in the body of Jesus. Rather, it's the one soul, which is the Logos.
Well, that's not how I'm parsing it at all. And again,
Yeah, I think the issue here, Smokey, if I could say, because I don't have a lot of time,
go
Jesus
ahead.
most definitely had a human essence, which is immaterial. That's what would configure his body. You can't have the divine eternal essence, limited to a body. It just absolutely cannot happen.
Right.
So that is the hypostasis. That is the
Right.
merging
Exactly.
of two substances, two essences, or two substantial forms.
But
The
even
second
merging
person.
but even merging complicates things. So hypostasis is not saying that they are definitely separate or that they are mixed. Rather,
Oh, right. Yeah, they're
it's a
unconfused,
hypostasis.
undivided, not merged, not, all of the negations from the
Yes.
Chalcedonian Creed. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. This hypostasis is this substantial form and the human form somehow coming together, but they're not merged. It's not a theanthropos. It's not, Eutychianism. It's not monophysitism, which is Eutychianism. It's it's not all of these things, and the church just drew a big circle and said it's not this, it's not this, it's not this, and they named the heresies around it that confused how the divine nature and the human nature are related in the one person of Jesus Christ.
Right.
It's defined via negation.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they draw a big circle and say,
Yeah,
we don't
that's
go
the
here,
Papa
we don't go
method.
there.
In fact, that is a scientific method applied to the incarnation. We disprove the ideas, and since they are disproved, it's like, yep, throw that out. It doesn't apply.
Well, all of our language about God is negations: eternal, not terminal; infinite, not finite; immutable, not changing; immaterial, not corporeal. I mean, they're all negative terms. We're not saying anything positive about the divine nature by using those terms. Those terms are analogical, and they're negations. The positive part of how we define God's nature is by immanence and by causation. Those are the positive aspects.
Hence why sometimes the omnis fall short, because they attempt to define God in a positive sense. This is why they sometimes philosophically.
I think so, yeah, because they're pitted against one another.
They are,
and that's not the case.
Because they're taken to absolute sense instead of supreme sense.
Right.
Yeah.
It's what happens when you let stupid atheists try to play theologians.
Right.
They don't understand it because they're dumblets, right? That's what I heard once.
Yeah, they're dumblets. Yeah.
What say you, Robert?
Oh, that's what I say. Yeah.
Oh, I agree. I'm a simpleton, but my son is alive, as I said in the movie. So.
And he's in the Matrix.
Maximally great Deus Ex Machina.
I hear Kenny whispering, which means he's probably supposed to be in bed.
Exactly.
Naughty son.
Yes, I am. Yes, I could get in big trouble. So if you see me
So,
mute it real
so
quick and
Kylo,
throw the
I'm
iPad.
not the I'm not the philosopher here, but I it this is one of those rare instances where I do struggle to try and string together words to explain how I understand this. But you think I'm more or less on the right track. Like I'm
Oh,
basically
you
I'm not unorthodox. I'm quite orthodox with this. So
no, that you are absolutely speaking forth classical understanding of anthropology.
okay. So
Yeah,
then,
for
Smokey,
sure.
what's your reaction to that?
You know, I would just make that distinction about the having nefesh or being a nefesh. Um I don't see it as anything other than they all have a nefesh, and it's nefeshuses that are differences
Right.
But is
in
that taking it, Kenny, towards just a status, though? Like, if that's the only definition of it's not actually ever really referring to a, transcendent piece of the human essence or
Oh, it
something?
is a transcendent piece. Yeah, it
Okay.
is. The essence will live on forever once instantiated.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying is it. Okay. So the essence itself is created, which the essence is nefesh, but the essence is more than just the physical, which means when it can be referred to, it can be referred to the entire essence, which includes the physical, or the part of the essence that is independent of the physical. This is what I've been trying to basically
Right.
say.
Now,
Is
now,
how these
now
two
Aquinas
things.
would call it this: substantial, meaning it's been instantiated; form, the essence has been combined with matter. So you have matter form composition, which makes a substantial form, which is a human being named Rob or Kenny. That is a
Right.
substantial form.
Right. Right.
So it
Okay.
gives the notion of
Right.
real being and not just what I might call existential being or virtual being, where you're an actual essence, but you haven't been instantiated yet.
Right.
You're in the realm of the quantum possibilities, because that's
Right.
all the quantum realm is these potentials.
Infinite possibilities. Yeah.
Yeah, infinite possibilities that must be substantiated by sharing in this eternal sea of being, i.e., God, with vertical causation downward, which
And just quickly,
holds it all
Kylo,
together.
just quickly, uh, sort of like a light bulb moment, which I think is obvious to everyone here anyway. But when you use that word infinity in that sense, just then, that is then evidence for God. You can't.
Mhm.
Otherwise, how the heck do you explain that without God?
Exactly. Yeah, that's my argument.
I mean, when
That's
it
exactly
just
my
boils down
argument for
to
God
that.
that I've
I
been
mean,
working
my
on.
when
All of
I
these
when I
things relate to it. I'm sorry.
yeah, but when I became a Christian, you see, that I think is wow. That's a beautiful philosophical way of going about it. But for me, it was more the realization about the historical evidence in regards to the resurrection and the incarnation. Like in other words, the incarnation is where you actually see it in history. God actually being tangible. You know,
Right.
like
Remember when we
touch
were
me
on our
and
date the other day
right.
and we were talking about this issue, kinda, and now
Right.
I forgot my statement because I got embarrassed by admitting that we were on a date. Yeah, he even took sexy pictures of me. Can you share your
Oh,
screen there,
trust
Rob?
me. Seriously,
Yeah,
Ken
show a
Kenny
couple pictures of
needs
me.
Kenny needs to use that filter from now on as a cucumber. A very, very beautiful cucumber, Kenny.
Yeah, Rob's going to share a screen. He's probably pulling it up here. I was in sunny California, kicking back in the sunlight. My hair is all down. I'm in my cute outfit. That
Wait,
sounds so gay. Sorry.
Kenny,
I'm tempting Jamie.
you have the shots.
Oh, I thought you saved him, but I'm on my iPad. I don't think I can screen share on my iPad.
Yeah. Wait, forward them to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
One moment, please. You all talk amongst yourselves. Let me give you a topic. A
No, but finish your
butterfly.
thought quickly though. Like you remember, you finish your thought process about the infinite and the quantum stuff.
Yeah. Basically, being itself is infinite. Existence itself is infinite. It could be instantiated infinitely. You can't come to an end of existence itself. So that is pure act. The quantum realm is prime matter. It's pure actuality or pure potentiality. God is pure actuality. So actually, they're somewhat, in an analogous way, opposites. And it's this existence. For example, if I want to bring a gallon jug into existence, what I do is I limit it. I take that space, I contain it, I limit it, I cut it off, I make it finite, and then it exists. And then I can fill it up with water, and I have a gallon of water, I can have a gallon of milk, but it is a gallon by virtue of limiting to be. Because to be is truly unending and infinite and pure actuality. There's no way to get around it, which is divine simplicity. Divine simplicity is God that is pure act with no passive potency whatsoever. He is the prime living one, the pure essence, the pure form, the pure nefesh, if you will. And we share in that image of God by simply
beautifully said.
being. To be is good, and that is to share in the ultimate image of God. And theosis or glorification is the fact that we stand as instantiated, independent beings participating in God's infinite being. And we stand as images of his glory, and can't even put it in the words. Rob's going to have to take it from here and wax eloquent for me.
Beautifully said.
Hey, that guy's pretty good. We should record this sometime.
Well, it is live right now, so thank goodness for that.
Oh, yeah. Because I'm just talking, I'm making this stuff up as I go. But I feel like the Lord's inspiring me, I haven't thought about a lot of these things in a while, or the Lord's just feeding me with a fiber optics cable from heaven. Because I am told that my epistemological connection to God, that born-again experience, is to be given the mind of Christ. If you read that in 1 Corinthians, we are given the mind of Christ. Eyes not seen, not ears not heard, nor is it entered to the heart of man. But we're told later, we've been given the mind of Christ, and ultimately we are going to see these things that God has for us. But that's the only way we can be born again. That's the only answer, epistemologically speaking, is God has to move first. We respond. Now, the issue of how much cooperation we have involved, it's a whole nother issue. But the general truth is as I laid it forth. And that's all I got to say about that.
You rock, Pastor Kenny. I'm telling you that right now.
I know I have long hair and I play rock drums.
Or on the other hand, we could just believe the Bible.
Oh, he's condescending to.
Oh, is that
Diamond
Irene
5 PhDs.
Sure.
Irenic knows more than everyone. Yeah.
I know the Bible doesn't teach that God is simple.
Irenic's a good guy. He's covered under common grace.
Yeah, he's a little bit dumb. I agree.
I didn't say dumb. I said he's a good guy, but he's covered under common grace. I'm leaving it at that praise. Don't interpret anything. Just let it happen.
Infinite Theosis has a question over there, Praise. Can you put that up? He says, how does the Thomistic analogia, can you pull that up there? That comment, because that's for Kenny.
I need to.
That's a good question. I think he's asking a little bit in defense to me of the distinctiveness between essence and energy.
Essence and energy. That is a Eastern distinction and system. I'm
up
I'm
further. Praise. It starts with how does the Thomistic and
there we go.
There it is. Do you see it, Kenny? Can you read it?
I would just simply have to admit ignorance on the Eastern concepts of the energies versus essence, but basically the Western fathers like Thomism would instead of energies we would say action. So I think in a lot of ways we're saying the same thing, just in different terminology. And the East and West were talking past each other all the time when it came to the Trinity, because the Latin church, had persona, and then the Greek church had, hypostasis and ousia, these other terms that could be used, for this term substance in Latin terms.
Tertullian used the Greek concept of person, I think, to describe the Godhead, and that caused issue with Latin speakers in terms of...
technically it would be one ousia and three hypostases.
Right, okay.
That would be the Greek way of saying it, one essence, three persons, or one essence, three faces.
Tertullian got bold with person in Greek, and the church didn't. I mean, they would ultimately be okay with that, but...
Tertullian was a Latin father, though.
Oh, was he? Oh, maybe he did speak it in Latin, and then
it was Trinus.
Greek, and maybe I got it backwards then.
Yeah, it was Trinus that the Easterners would have used Greek.
Right. Okay.
Western would have used Latin.
Then. I had it backwards.
Yeah, the Greeks that live on the island of Greece,
there in
Greece, those are actually the Byzantiums. The Byzantines, the people of Byzantium, Constantinople. That's actually who those people are that live in Greece today. That is the language that evolved from Biblical Koine Greek and the culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, the analogia entis there is simply the analogy of being. Hyperousias is probably what we would call deutra ousia, probably, which would be deutra ousia would be human nature, and then ousia would be the instantiated or the individual human person, the substance by which we make the 9 predications, the 10 Aristotelian categories, the first one being substance. So substance are what we predicate. Now, secondary substance would be the nature of the thing. So in a certain sense, you could actually make that distinction that Rob was making, in the sense of, for example, having a human nature, but being Kenny, being a person.
Kenny, can I ask you about an extrapolation from this then, with the statement of Christ on the cross, into your hands I commit my spirit?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that as Christ's spiritual ascension after his death? How do you view that?
No, I think that's the human side saying the human spirit is now being separated from the human body, and the human person is saying my essence is returning to the Father, because the divine essence has always been with the Father in that sense. I mean, we're in mystery now. I mean, how do we understand the incarnation?
But Kenny, I'm suggesting that's the Logos speaking.
Oh, sure. Well, here's the thing, though, with Logos. Logos is actually this concept of nefesh. because it's interchangeable: mind, nefesh,
Well,
logos,
logos. Well,
spirit.
yeah, but I'm saying logos as a second person of the Trinity, the person that is in control of the body.
Right, but what I'm saying is that term logos can be used simply as human essence because it is a rational animal. Remember,
Yeah.
it's
But
a
I'm using logos as capital L logos, like John 1:1 logos. I'm not talking about logos. I'm talking about the second person.
right. But what I'm saying, because of the Hellenistic background of that term, I think they are actually saying everything. It is a Judaized,
Oh, I
or
agree.
it is a
I
Greekified
agree.
Judaism. So they're using logos for nefesh. I would almost,
Yeah. No, I
yeah.
agree. But I'm saying when Jesus says into your hands, it's the second Yahweh, or it's the second person of the Trinity that's now talking.
It's certainly,
It
yeah.
it always has been. It's not some human spirit. It's like for example, there are Christians that say, "Oh, the human side kicked in, and that's why Jesus didn't know the hour." And I'm suggesting no, he always knew the hour.
Well, Dr. Geisler would put it like this. He would say that, kind of with the kenosis, the emptying out, not acting in the divine prerogatives, the limitation of the second person. He would even say it like this: from the humanity of Jesus, Jesus had the potentiality to sin, but it was never actualized. But from the divine nature, Jesus could have never sinned because he was pure act. So the human side had the potential, but it was never actualized. And I have no idea why I slipped into that rabbit trail.
I agree with Geisler on pretty much all of that. Yeah.
No, I'd agree with that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we need to make distinctions and not separations, because I'm saying nothing different than what you would be saying as far as your use of the term
I think
logos
it's
there.
yeah. I think it's yeah. Again, I think it comes down to a semantic issue
Yeah, it really
of
is. It's
defining
just
words.
a frame of reference and what we're emphasizing in our statements. You're going to emphasize the biblical understanding. I'm going to emphasize the metaphysics slash theological side of it, but we're saying exactly the same thing. As a matter of fact, I'm going to use your biblical arguments to prove what I'm saying in my dissertation that I start next year.
Okay, imagine. Okay, say we're speaking Aramaic, right? So instead of saying logos, I would say it was the memra
Yeah.
that was telling the Father, "Into your hands I give my spirit."
Yeah, the memra. Yeah, for sure.
You see, obviously, memra is not thinking in the Greek logos sense, right? Memra is this person, this second person of the. Or
Well,
the
here's the
second
thing.
power,
It goes
right?
back to infinite theosis. It is action. His question. It's action. That memra is the idea of the action. Energy.
Yeah, but I'm talking about we're going straight into Trinitarian theology now. Like I'm talking about the second power or the second
Oh,
person.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'm just adding this philosophical, theological part of it.
Praise Theosis has another follow-up question for that. He says, how do you avoid modal collapse objections if God is pure act, such as creation being a determined necessity?
I don't buy this entire modal approach to things, necessities, possibilities, and this whole hypothetical multiple worlds talk, because it's fundamentally irrational. There's no ontological grounding for these possible worlds because they don't exist. And it's just nonsense because you're trying to redefine essences in other worlds, and you're just basically defining them out of existence and making them something else. You're defying the law of identity at that point.
Well, hold on real quick. But you would admit that things can exist and be non-physical.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Non-actualized realities could exist even if they're not actualized, just by being in the mind of God, of knowing what they could be.
Oh, but yeah, they have to be actual or real possibilities that which arise from essences, not non-being potentials of, say, reason, where there's no ontological ground.
Well,
Because you've got
well,
like this trans world reprobation kind of stuff that is thrown in there, and I just, it's the whole Molinism that
but what I'm saying is, like, in instances where
you're just wrong, you're dumb, shut up, you're stupid, your mom wears combat boots, your mom is so ugly.
When God expresses possession of middle knowledge, like where he says, if you do this, this is what will happen.
Right, but that's not possible worlds.
No, but he has the ability in his mind of which to understand and know that which are all potential possible.
Right.
Worlds.
Yeah, I call that what if knowledge. What if this happens?
Well, yeah, but that's what middle knowledge is. I mean, that's
right,
really what middle knowledge is. So
but not of these potential multiverses out there, which
no,
a lot of people take it to.
No, that requires actualization. I'm completely removing actualization from the equation. I'm speaking solely upon, okay, a thought exists, but a thought is not physical. God can have thoughts, if I'm speaking analogously here, of course. God can have thoughts about alternate potential realities while he's knowing what those alternate potential realities would be if that agent chose to do that thing. So it's a statement of truth that he knows that thing, which means the reality, I mean, exists, but only in the sense as a thought exists to us, as in it's non-actualized. There's no actualization to it, yet it still does exist because God's able to access it in his frame of knowledge. See?
Sure. Yeah.
That's where I'm going with it.
Right. Yeah. But what I'm saying, and this is footnoted in my book, this is possibilities in the actual existing world, not in some hypothetical world that human beings are monkeying with, saying, well, what if Socrates, was a tap dancer, not a philosopher? Well, since ontology grounds everything, ontology precedes epistemology, you have to have ontology preceding middle knowledge. Ontology precedes it. So if there is no real world, say like if David went this way, or Kenny zigged and should have zagged, well, God would know the conclusions of my zig or my zag, but he wouldn't know, for example, Kenny in another world that
all potential worlds that could possibly stem from the necessity of this world, because this is the